Good morning.
Good morning.
We bid you welcome.
We bid you welcome who come with weary spirits and rest.
Who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid.
We bid you welcome who come with hope in your heart.
Who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous.
We bid you welcome who are seekers of a new faith.
Who come to probe and explore, who come to learn.
We bid you welcome who enter this fall as a homecoming.
Who have found here room for your spirit, who find in this people a family.
Whoever you are, wherever you are,
Wherever you are on your journey,
we bid you welcome.
Let us worship with our eyes and ears and fingertips. Let us love the world through heart and mind and body. We feed our eyes upon the mystery and revelation in the faces of our brothers and sisters. Let us worship not in bowing down, not with closed eyes and stopped ears. Let us worship with the opening of all the windows of our beings, with the full outstretching of our spirits. Life comes with singing and laughter, with tears and confiding, with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and the heart and the body, to those who have fallen in love with life. Let us worship and let us worship with love.
Oh, sing a new song to the eternal.
Shall praise all earth, break into music and song.
Praise the eternal with lyre and song.
Let the sea and all within it thunder praise.
The world and its inhabitants, let rivers clap their hands, let mountains sing in chorus.
Oh, sing a new song to the eternal. Good morning, guys. As we talked about the themes for this morning's service, Teresa had said laughter and music, joy and song. One song came to my mind, right to my mind, one I call the Gladiola song. Formerly known as A Dazzling Bouquet, we have sung this song at several of our flower services. Though some of our group really do not love it, it always makes me laugh and smile. When I think of the 6-foot gladiolas, I see Ned and Paul and Brian and Chris singing away. Then I hear, mine is the church where everyone's welcome, and jump in the vase, because we've got space for more. Some of the words seem silly, but the message is cheering and very positive. How does the same piece of music affect people in such different ways? What is it about some songs that trigger a memory and bring joy and laughter? And bring so many different kinds of joy at that. On Easter, the choir sang the Alleluia chorus, which gave a very different kind of joy, more of a spiritual exhilaration than the cheerfulness of a dazzling bouquet. Part of it is in the glorious music itself, but it is also in the singing of it, as a group united, but with the different parts weaving in and out until the final notes come. The music and words are so familiar, but it still thrills the soul to hear it and to sing it. I think back to the times in high school, in the choir at church, at concerts at the school where I worked, to a concert in Symphony Hall where my boss sang the Messiah. All those memories from one piece of music to be sung and enjoyed over and over. Just as a picture, a sound, a smell can evoke a memory, certain songs can bring back a whole era or a special mood. Hey Jude is my song of the late 60s and of my year living and traveling through France. Our group of 13 students, American students, would ride together through the French countryside, singing en français and in English. My friend John, a talented musician, always brought his guitar, so we had our accompaniment. We sang all varieties of song and music. But Hey Jude was really our song. It was our anthem. To this day, it can evoke those amazing times, and it still sends shivers down my spine when I hear it. Going further back, there are the songs of childhood. The silly song in Chinatown that we sang while skiing. Day is Done from my camp days. Annie Rooney, which my opa and my mother used to sing to me when I was very young. And last but not least, Some Enchanted Evening from South Pacific. My father always sang it off-key and out in public as we walked through town. I would cringe and walk 10 paces behind him, pretending that I was from another family. However, to this day, hearing that song brings back wonderful memories, painful memories of my father because he went way too young. I do miss him, even though he sang off-key. At present, I am part of a company filled with talented musicians and people who love to sing, and of course, to show off as well. I am also lucky to be part of a choir, talented and fun-loving, doing the conga around the church, singing all kinds of songs at our get-togethers, and of course doing some very serious pieces. I sang with my students in my classes in French and Spanish, and I sing The Wheels on the Bus with my grandson Austin. What joy has come to me with the songs of my past and present. I celebrate this joy today with you. Thank you.
My reflection is too long. There'll be times when we think I'm about to end, and I'm going to keep going. I'm sorry. I came here a couple of years ago because I had a desire to sing. This was strange because I'm neither an experienced singer nor an experienced churchgoer, but I felt the need to sing in a choir. And fortunately, Emma Jean recognized that need for what it was. I've never been religious, not by the standards of believers. I never accepted the traditional beliefs that many others seem to hold so easily. If I hadn't accepted a scholarship from a Catholic university, I might never have studied much about religion. But by that time, I was already a skeptic, holding religious teachings to the same standards of proof as any other subject. One of the things I learned at Seton Hall University was that I wasn't cut out to be a Catholic. But I did gain a strong interest in religion. I studied about religion by myself for close to 40 years. I gradually realized that I might never find the answers in a book. Having no faith as I started each book made it unlikely that I would find faith in my reading. I remained a skeptic, finding neither faith nor the total rejection of it, but like many, still searching for something. Reading hadn't helped me find faith, but some stories have made a lasting impression. About 2,500 years ago, a man named Siddhartha experienced humanity and became the compassionate Buddha, the awakened one. About 500 years later, the man we call Jesus experienced humanity and became the compassionate Christ. These and other teachers showed a human-level path to enlightenment through compassion. Clearly a good path, clearly a good path to follow, but how and where? Perhaps I might find something more in a church, but how could I find a creed I could stand to listen to each week, much less believe in? I wanted neither a simplistic creed nor an intellectual debating society. I craved something more despite my own limitations. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, author of fantasies like The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, said that faith requires a willing suspension of disbelief. He was writing about poetic faith in 1817, almost 200 years ago. Belief in the supernatural had declined. Disbelief was the norm. It was the age of enlightenment, but before Darwin. How much harder is it now in our age of science to suspend our disbelief? No wonder that some believers feel so threatened by science, Darwin, and evolution. I have a different problem with this willing suspension of disbelief. No matter how willing, I find it hard to suspend my disbelief in prayer. Try as I might, when we pray, I get no connection, no pause. But when we sing, sometimes I do. This may be why I felt the need to be here. You can do religion by yourself, but not in harmony. You may have seen an article in last Sunday's Boston Globe titled, "What Happens When a Minister Decides There's No God?" It's about two researchers looking into this question. One of them is a philosophy professor at Tufts named Daniel Dennett, a noted atheist and secularist. He mentions a joke known to many who study religion. Anybody who goes through seminary and comes out believing in God hasn't been paying attention. My more benign interpretation is that after you study things like textual criticism, you leave seminary with a different God than the one who brought you there. My self-study had a similar effect. But unlike Dennett, I was still open to possibilities. It turns out that Daniel Dennett, this famous convinced atheist, sang a lot of choirs. The last three sentences of the article also quote Dennett. First he said, "I know and love the Unitarians." Nice. But I don't like the words to their hymns. The words are so insipid, I can't stand them. Insipid. That's just, that's. But thankfully, our music here includes far more than the modern floral arrangements. Then it says, "I'd rather sing the good old rip-snorting words and then put a little flashing light over the pulpit that says metaphor." Apparently, this famous atheist still gets some kind of charge from the traditional music that we sing. Page 2. I'm sorry. We often sing words that we wouldn't expect to hear from this pulpit. "Precious Lord, take my hand." Or from a song we'll sing later today, "As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who should wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way." I've asked myself, how can I sing songs like this that don't reflect my personal beliefs? My religious questions have never been about starry crowns. I don't expect to walk in the garden or have my hand held, but I love it when we sing those songs. But I couldn't explain why. It's not that they don't count because they're just songs. I know that they touch me while prayers do not. My wife grew up Baptist. Belief in salvation was essential. And even if you didn't believe, at least you pretended to. But she too cannot suspend her disbelief and remembers only music and the ritual. She asks me about this church. If they don't have a creed, why do they go to church? Do they just miss the music and the rituals? This was a very important question to me because I came to realize that the answer is no. It's not just music and empty rituals. Something happens here, something religious. And somehow it happens without the need to suspend my disbelief. The revelation is that without the things that I used to strain to believe, there is still something there. And the thing that's left seems to be the essence of it. I don't imagine a hand reaching out to me, but I often feel touched here by some essential truth. Sometimes the truth arrives in someone's words, or when the pipe organ shakes us like the voice of God, when a violin weeps like a human heart, And often when we sing, whether individually, as a choir, or all together, something happens. Maybe you agree. Something good happens here. That song we'll sing later, as I go down the river to pray, is an old song. Its origin unclear. The river in the song meant many different things to other singers. Perhaps some sang about an actual river where they went to be baptized. Others may see references to different waters, while some may see a metaphor for the waters we all enter and must ultimately cross. As a member of the choir, I stand aside and observe the moving waters of this church as if from a riverbank. I know many of you now as individuals, but initially I saw a multitude of moving river of churchgoers. Part of a river that has flowed here for hundreds of years. We don't believe the same things as the people who built this church. The river has changed over time, as rivers do. Enlightenment, science, and Darwin have altered our beliefs and disbeliefs. We choose not to believe the same things, hear the same sermons, or say the same prayers as those who came before us. But we often choose to sing some of the same traditional songs. The river of this church joins the rivers of many others, some of them far older. The music and the voices of this church join the music and the voices of many others, some of them as old as time. Voices of religious yearning, joining in the search for a connection to something larger than ourselves. As a skeptic, I still stand on the riverbank, on the firm solid ground of my disbelief. Except when standing near this moving river, I find myself in the mist that rises from it, slowly being baptized in the river's mist into that tradition of religious yearning expressed in the good old religious music. And sometimes, when some of the mist from that river get into my eyes, I know that once again, something good has happened here. And may it always be so for all of you.
Goosebumps. Bumps on your skin at the base of body hairs, which may involuntarily develop when a person experiences strong emotions such as listening to awe-inspiring music. I've had goosebumps from time to time when listening to or performing music. 2 weeks ago on Easter Sunday, when the sopranos soared up to the high G as the choir was singing the climactic part of the Hallelujah chorus, I too had goosebumps. At Christmas time, as we were singing, "O come, all ye faithful," and the sopranos began their descant with the words, "Sing, choirs of angels," if I could, I would have floated into the air as my spirit soared. Playing the last section of Bach's Passacaglia or Widor's Toccata on the organ, I moved to another realm of consciousness. When I was a Master of Sacred Music student at Boston University, those students involved in the School of Theology would have a weekly worship service in Marsh Chapel. How thrilling it was to hear the rich, deep voices of 100 or so, mostly men, ministerial students, singing their hearts out on a favorite hymn such as "For All the Saints." Here were people who were aspiring to be leaders of our churches, singing their faith with strong belief and gusto. The UU Musicians Network, our national UU music organization to which I belong, met in Boston 3 summers ago. Our opening worship service was in Arlington Street Church, and I had the honor of playing the organ for that service. The last hymn was the church musician's favorite hymn, "When in our music God is glorified." It's number 36 in our prayer hymnal. After pausing on the last note of the third verse, I broke into an interlude leading to my own original organ descant for the last verse, which I had composed specifically for this occasion. Prickles went up and down the back of my neck. It was so beautiful hearing 300 or so UU musicians raise their voices together and be surrounded in the rear organ balcony by the stirring sounds of thousands of pipes of that huge Aeolian Skinner pipe organ. Modern neuroscience provides a detailed and compelling empirical research related to 4 major classes of emotional responses occasionally invoked by music. Frisson, characterized by chills, shivers, or goosebumps. Laughter. Awe, characterized by gasping. And weeping. You've probably been in a situation where music has made you smile or induce laughter. Shuffling around the parish hall to the tunes of a contra dance, or hearing music which suddenly, when it takes a little twist, you cock your head to the side and raise an eyebrow. Funerals and memorial services often include music that will cause you to weep. Music once held very dear to the deceased. Music on these occasions provides a time for emotions to be released, memories are recalled, tears come flooding down. A couple of years ago, I visited my cousin Dan, who I had not seen for many, many years. Since our generation of relatives is spread out from Maine to Arizona, I decided I would visit him on the occasion of his 60th birthday, even though it meant a quick trip to Georgia and back for Donald and me. I might not see him again ever, and we live in very different theological and political worlds. Dan and his wife, Nancy, attend a large non-denominational church, whose services always start with 15 minutes of singing. We 2 cousins, our spouses, his children, side by side, singing gospel songs whose words were projected on the wall. Suddenly I heard the music of a prayer hymn I remember my mother singing, and my eyes involuntarily were awash in tears. It was a song I probably wouldn't choose for a service here at First Parish, but hearing that song with those people on that occasion spontaneously brought me back to my childhood. Every summer, my father and mother and my brother David would pile in the car and drive from Tolono, Illinois, in the center of the state, up to northern Indiana, the home of my mother's family. The highlights of these visits was always getting together on a Sunday afternoon in the living room around the piano. Mother played the piano or the violin. Uncle Noah played the violin. David and I and Cousin Marianne played the piano. We all sang in parts, making our way through the hymn book that was used in their Evangelical United Brethren services. What a wonderful bonding family event that was. Well, my dad didn't sing. He would go outside and smoke a cigarette. Here in the time that we have together at First Parish, I know I will continue to be moved to shivers as I listen to the beautiful voices of the choir that we have here. I'll be laughing when we sing the Gladiola song, that country-sounding song with the boogie-boogie bass pattern. That, yes, the words are mine is a church where everybody's welcome. You know it's true because I got through the door. And I'll have tears in my eyes as candles are lit in the November memorial services as we're singing music from the Brahms Requiem. Our emotions teeter on the edge between joy and sadness, between elation and depression. Singing is good for your health. Singing is a good way to learn quotations from the Bible, from literature. In a singing group, you might even find your future husband or wife. That's a little aside because it did happen a couple of times. People hear it. The music we sing or hear can bring us to many different emotional levels. This morning I choose joy, that vivid emotion of pleasure which brings a strong sense of fulfillment, a feeling you've been divinely touched in some unexplainable way, lifted out of the ordinary and mundane, joy which fills our hearts. I don't get goosebumps watching a Red Sox game, shopping for groceries, listening to a talk, or even in a lively conversation. But when I hear or sing or play glorious music, an unexplained, sometimes unanticipated feeling of awe comes over me. A sense of magic, being brought to a higher level of consciousness, not tangible. I'm filled with joy, shivers. Don't be afraid to enter into the music. Let it wash over you, fill you with joy, bring you to tears. Choose joy. Be filled with feelings from another dimension. Seek joy and don't be surprised